Good morning, my neighbors. Top of the morning to you guys. It's awesome, a little chilly. January 18th, 2023. I want to thank you guys for rocking with me here at 8 a.m. Really? I guess that doesn't. I guess that note didn't matter. I want to welcome you guys to We Will Not Comply at 8 a.m. here on the Loud Majority Network. I got a big announcement for you guys coming up in a minute. But before we get started, make sure if you're watching on Facebook, you guys smash that like button. Share this video out into all of your groups. If you're watching on Rumble, hit that Rumble button. Share that URL all over the place. Help this channel grow. Want to thank you guys so much. Big announcement this Friday. If you're watching here on Facebook, if you're watching on the Twitter, if you're watching on the Loud Majority Rumble channel, this Friday, you will get to see my sit-down interview with the man who saved America, Mr. Lee Zeldin is going to be here. If you want early access to the Lee Zeldin interview, head to rumble.com/LFATV. That's rumble.com/LFATV. That interview is going to be going out tomorrow at 1 p.m. over on LFA. I want to thank Congressman Zeldin for sitting down with us for, he stayed for about 20, 25 minutes yesterday, and we had a great conversation about housing here on Long Island, all the different things going on, all the stuff that he's up to, what he's got going on next, and what he's been up to since the election. It was great to see him. It was always exciting. We were joking around about this, how we went from seeing Lee Zeldin 3 or 4 times a week, and now the election's over, and, what is it? Poof, disappear. But Lee isn't going anywhere. He's back, ready to rock. So we want to thank Congressman Zeldin for sitting down with us. Also, head on over to loudmajorityus.com. Sign up for our newsletter. Check out the shop so you never miss out on anything we've got going on. We've got big stuff coming up in the coming months, particularly with school boards rocking and rolling, so you're not going to want to miss out on that. Also, if you have a school board meeting coming up and you'd like us to attend, please shoot me a message, Facebook, Instagram, whatever it may be. You guys know how to get in contact with us. Most of you have our numbers, so give us a shout, and we will do our best to attend all of those school board meetings. But as you see from the show title, Crime on Long Island, rocking and rolling. Never been a better time to be a criminal on Long Island than right now. We see property crimes going through the roof, and some people on Long Island are actually sitting there touting the drop in murder rates throughout the island, even though, year to date, it's been about 3 or 4, maybe 5 less than it normally is, or than it was last year. Crime is all up over the place. We go over the fact why on Long Island we are. If you guys hear any banging coming from outside, sorry, I'm having a little bit of work done in the office. We're just gonna have to put up with that because for the first time in the history of service calls, the person showed up at the beginning of the window and not the end of the window, which I'm quite amazed at. So if you guys hear any banging going on in the back, I do apologize about that. But back to the major spike in crime. This from Newsday. Long Island major crimes increased due to a spike in property crime, police say. This article from Michael O'Keefe over at Newsday. Major crimes have increased 41% in Nassau County and 15% in Suffolk County last year compared to 2001. The spike tops law enforcement officials said were fueled by the dramatic increase in property crimes. Statistics provided to Newsday by Long Island's 2 largest police departments show. Obviously, everybody knows what's been going on all over the island with people coming out from Queens, Brooklyn, New Jersey, and stealing the catalytic converters off of people's cars. I'm sure if you guys are involved in any of your local town's Facebook groups, you've probably seen the ring cameras of people going out and doing that. The property crimes have shot through the roof. There were 7,394 crimes recorded in Nassau County compared to 5,200 in 2001, and there were 17,000 crimes in Suffolk compared to 15,000 in the previous year. Statistics show, of course, there's going to be more crimes in Nassau County just based on its proximity to New York City and the 5 boroughs. So if you're coming out here to steal car parts, it's going to be a hell of a lot easier to steal them in Valley Stream than it would be in Setauket. So you have to take that into account. Suffolk Police Commissioner Rodney Harrison and Nassau County Police Commissioner Pat Ryder told Newsday in separate interviews that the major issue in property crimes, such as grand larceny, vehicle theft, and burglary, was to blame for the increase in overall crimes. But Harrison and Ryder said that they were also encouraged to find that their departments made major gains in violent crime in 2022 by analyzing intelligence to determine who was committing the crimes and where and when they were likely to hit next. The Nassau County data is for the entire year of 2022, and the Nassau County data runs through December 3rd. So we get a pretty good, a pretty accurate accounting of what's going on out here on Long Island. And later on in the show, we're going to discuss why this seems to be the case all over the country, not just in Nassau and Suffolk. Although I will say that the fact that these crimes have reached the suburbs is a clear indicator of what's been going on nationwide with some of these ridiculous DAs. Lee Zeldin and myself talked about that briefly in the interview that you guys can see tomorrow on LFA TV at 1 o'clock. That's rumble.com/LFA TV. There is a message, this back to the article, there's a message out there that crime is on the rise, and that's true, Ryder said, while also pointing to the statistics that show that violent crime in the county were down, including murder, which the commissioner tells was the lowest rate in 65 years in 2022. Well, thank God. I mean, I guess if you're going to be the victim of a crime, it would be better to have your car stolen than be murdered, but that doesn't really make the person whose car was stolen feel any better. Ryder's Suffolk County counterpart blamed spikes in property crime as the culprit. Harrison said the county experienced a spike in retail thefts. Go figure. I'm sure that's got nothing to do with bail laws. I'm sure that's got nothing to do with statewide bail laws coming out of Albany. Nothing to do with the fact that we are just letting people out all over the place. Nassau County legislator Sheila Bonone, Democrat of Westbury, who serves on the Public Safety Committee — that's hilarious, putting Democrats on that committee — said that the drop in violent crime and the rise in property crime reflects what she's hearing from her constituents. Well, thank you. That's not really a quote. I think overall people have a sense of personal safety, but a high level of concern for their homes and their vehicles, Bonone said, who added that almost everybody she knows in Nassau County has invested in security, video systems, and other technology to stave off victimization. Well, that's absolutely absurd, because we already invest in that. It's called policing. It's called jails. It's called the Correctional Institute. You know, the ones that you Democrats have tried to defund, get rid of, demoralize, attack, go after over the last 5 years. But I'm sure you won't say that in the press, because you, Sheila Bonone, a Democrat of Westbury, are a coward. Harrison and Ryder vowed to drive property crime rates down and said that the officers will push back against those crimes in 2023. Obviously, if you guys know anything about this catalytic converter situation that's been going on all over Long Island, you know that this is basically organized crime. This is basically organized crime. It's people scouting out locations and then calling in the criminals to rip these things out of your cars left and right. That's exactly what this is. And anybody who's seen the videotapes know it. Anybody who's seen these Ring camera videos know that's exactly what's happening. When asked what the strategy he would use against these criminals, Ryder said effective and efficient use of resources driven by the data when they go into an area. It's not like the old days. We don't go in and flood the area, displace crime. We leave, crime comes back. We go in with intelligence. We are focused. With focused deterrence, knowing who the players are. Harrison, a longtime NYPD officer who just completed his first year as a Suffolk County Commissioner, said his teams use precision policing when fighting violent crime patterns. It goes into making sure that they are holding individuals that commit violent crimes responsible, he said, during a recent interview at the Suffolk County Police Headquarters in Yaphank. Also interactive policing, which is where's the next incident going to occur, to make sure our precinct commanders understand the importance of putting the right people in the right places to stop the next act of violence. That and our gun arrests, which are up as well. Well, thank God they're taking illegal guns off the street, because you know damn well in Albany they're doing everything they possibly can to take legal guns off the street. You would think with the rise of home invasions, with the rise of property crime, that maybe, just maybe, the people in Albany would understand that it is time for the people to be able to protect themselves with a firearm, but they don't care about that up in Albany. All they care about is hurting the legal gun owner while while giving no bail whatsoever to any of the illegal gun crimes. Taking the guns off the street is great, but when you put the person with the illegal gun back onto the street, something tells me they're going to find a way to get another illegal gun. Back to the article. The drop in murders in Nassau and Suffolk appear to mirror a nationwide decline. Well, that's arguable. The FBI does not have available numbers for 2022, but the Data Analysis, a research firm that specializes in criminal justice issues, reported that there were 8,888 murders nationwide in 2022, a 5% drop from the 9,351 reported in 2021. A mid-year survey of 70 agencies in the major cities' chief association found that murders fell 2.4% during the first 6 months of the year, from 4,600 to 4,500. Well, there's less murders out there. Maybe that's because once murders get to be that high, murderers start killing other murderers. Could that be it? Could gang violence have been getting so bad that now we're seeing a reduction in crime because there's less people on the street ready to kill other people because they've already been killed? That's not a really good way to run any of our major cities. The commissioner said that they are encouraged by the crime indicators, including the declines in shootings and fatal and non-fatal drug overdoses. To say that there have been declines in fatal and non-fatal drug overdoses is an absolute joke. Both fatal and non-fatal drug overdoses increased in recent years due to stresses caused by the coronavirus pandemic, officials said. There are three numbers that drive us: homicides, overdoses, and shootings, Ryder said, speaking from the Nassau County Police Academy, which houses the department's intelligence unit. Those are the ones that we really push our numbers, that we are really concerned about. These are about life and death. Our homicides in Nassau County are down 40%. Our fatal overdoses in Nassau County are down about 30%, and our non-fatal overdoses are down about 21%, and our shootings are down 16%. So according to Patty Ryder over in Nassau County, things are getting better in the violent crime department. They're getting better in the overdose department. However, it doesn't feel that way. It really does not feel as if things are getting better when it comes to crime in our communities. It doesn't feel like overdoses are getting better in our communities. Some of the Long Island crimes, Harrison warned, are committed by defendants coming from New York City and beyond. Of course, we said that just before. We are working with all law enforcement partners, our district attorney's office, and our partners bordering us in Nassau County and New York City. This is not just a Suffolk County issue. This is an issue that troubles the whole state. Well, of course it does. Luckily, you've got pieces of crap district attorneys out there like Alvin Bragg in New York City, who I'm sure is not handing over the data to protect that would help us get these criminals off the street, because he doesn't believe in arresting people. He doesn't believe in putting people in prison because, according to him, as the great Lee Zeldin has always said, DA, according to Alvin Bragg, means defense attorney, not district attorney. Back to the article. Grand larcenies in Nassau County climbed more than 43%, from 3,200 to 4,500. Burglaries surged 35% last year, and nearly a 56% spike in residential burglaries. Stolen vehicles rose 72%. 72% from 361 to 968 last year. I guess that's what happens when they can't take the catalytic converter off. They can't figure out how to get the part of the car off. They just steal the entire car. Ryder, once again, I'm sorry for the banging outside. I can hear that in my headphones, so I'm sure you guys can hear it as well. Ryder and Nassau County Executive Bruce Blakeman announced in July that the department has teamed up with the Newark Police Department and the U.S. Marshal's Office to crack down on the ring of stealing vehicles in Nassau County and transporting them to New Jersey. About 75% of the vehicles stolen in the county wind up in Newark, officials said. 5 Nassau County officers were injured in April when teens hired by the ring to steal vehicles rammed their police cars. As I said before, we have an organized crime problem in this county, on this island, in this state. And I'm not talking about the idea of organized crime as in mafiosos and all stuff like, and all organizations like that. I'm talking about you got scouts going out there, scouting the cars, calling back to Newark. Those people are coming over the bridge, driving right down the southern state, and they're just stealing cars. And why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they? With the rise of the price of used cars right now, with the unavailability of getting car parts, cars have become a valuable commodity for those willing to steal them. They're easy. You leave them outside, you throw it on a tow truck, bingo, bango, it's gone. And why are used cars becoming so expensive? Because new cars are becoming so expensive. And why is that happening? Because of ridiculous supply chain crisis is coming from the top at the Biden administration. You see, this is what happens. This is what market forces do when people at the top do not understand how to run an economy. If cars were not so expensive, used cars wouldn't be so expensive. And if used cars weren't so expensive, people wouldn't be stealing them at such a high rate. 72% increase a year over year in Nassau County? That's absolutely ridiculous. And that directly comes from the fact that people are not buying new cars. And if you're not buying a new car, that means you do not have the ability to lease a car. And if you don't lease a car, that means the dealerships don't have used cars to sell. And if they don't have used cars to sell, people are going to need car parts. And where are they going to get those car parts from? They're going to get them from stolen vehicles at chop shops in Newark. Back to the article. About 70, we're going to go after them, Ryder said. Of the Ring, we're going to, we have an ongoing investigation. After this Newark crew, we are going after them federally. The vast majority of vehicle thefts were preventable. 92% of our stolen cars, Ryder said, are people that leave the keys in the car. That's very important too. If you guys roll into 7-Eleven, don't leave your keys in the car. Don't leave your car running. If you run into the store, don't leave your car running. First off, if you leave your car running, if you leave the keys in the car, your insurance company's not going to pick up the tab on your stolen car. That's very important. That's very important to understand. The insurance company is not going to pick up your insurance company is not going to pick up what's left on that car. Now to Suffolk County. Total property crimes in Suffolk County increased by more than 18% from 2001 to 2002. According to Suffolk Police, burglaries rose 11%, vehicle thefts rose nearly 15%. Larcenies jumped to 18% in the first 11 months of 2022. We saw a big spike in retail thefts. Harrison said, "We're just going in. People are just going in these establishments and ripping things off the counter and walking out." You guys have seen the videos. You've seen the videos from across the country. You've seen the videos from across Long Island and the 5 boroughs, particularly in New York City. These smash and grab robberies where 30 or 40 people will just run into a Louis Vuitton and take everything off the shelves and run out. You've seen them in jewelry stores. People go in, one guy smashing the counter up, the other one digging their hands in, grabbing all the jewels and running out. Bingo, bango, they're out. They're out. How many of these people do you think had been arrested before for doing the same kind of crime and let out with no bail? How many of these people do you think that happened to? And people are starting to notice because rich people are starting to get robbed. We all saw Robert De Niro's townhouse was robbed right before Christmas. One part of that story that didn't come out that I actually found kind of funny was that the person that robbed Robert De Niro's house actually opened up all of his Christmas gifts that were under the tree. Something about that is just hilarious because, liberals hate Christmas, so Robert De Niro gets what he deserves on that one. Harrison said Suffolk police brass are meeting weekly with precinct commanders to identify those behind the crimes in their community and develop a strategy on how to stop them. Well, we're going to talk in about 10 minutes about what that strategy is going to entail and why it may not work as well as they think. We are holding our commanding officers accountable to know what is going on and what analytical intelligence work are you going to do to stop these crimes from occurring. Harrison also last year created a warrant enforcement unit consisting of a captain, 2 sergeants, and 10 police officers. The unit pursues defendants who are wanted for an outstanding warrant or who fail to appear in court. The new property crimes unit looks at the crime patterns in a specific area and identifies who is responsible. Suffolk's new Crime Strategy Bureau, Harrison said, takes a broader view, identifying patterns in criminal behavior like gang activity throughout the county. And here we go. Bail reform. Property crimes have increased across New York State as well as Long Island, which Ryder and Harrison also attribute in part to bail reform and other changes in the criminal justice system. Last weekend alone, there were 12 arrests one day at the mall. 12 arrests at the mall, Ryder said a few weeks ago. 12 arrests. All of them got appearance tickets and walked away. Many of them come back the next day. Many of them are repeat offenders, Harrison said. Harrison said those charged have created a rotating door for those who commit property crimes. Crime fighting is difficult right now when it comes to property crimes because no one is being held accountable, the Suffolk commissioner said. Too often we make quality arrests of someone who's committed a property crime and he's out within hours of committing a crime, waiting to commit another crime again, Harrison said. Bail reform, which eliminated cash bail for most misdemeanors and nonviolent felonies, has been a lightning rod for criticism by law enforcement since its approval by Governor Grab-ass Andrew Cuomo in 2019. Supporters say it prevents defendants who do not have the resources for bail from losing their job and allows them to continue to support their families. That is absolute crap. Absolute crap. There needs to be a reason people are going to come back to court. The state's Division of Criminal Justice Services reported in September that defendants are rearrested at the same rate as they were before the law was enacted. What? Yeah, but they wouldn't be back out on the street to be rearrested. So basically, they're getting a 2-for-1. They're getting a steal one, get one free. The fact that the state's Division of Criminal Justice Services can count that as a win, that defendants are rearrested at the same rate they were before the law is enacted, is disgusting. That basically means, like I said, you basically get one crime for free. Doesn't matter what that crime is. Non-violent felonies. What the hell? What felony is non-violent? Auto theft? So you don't want to keep a criminal in jail for stealing a car because they may lose their job. But what about the person whose car they stole? If they can't get to work the next day, maybe they'll lose their job. But we have a pro-criminal government right now. We have a pro-criminal government right now. Assemblyman Phil Ramos, Democrat of Brentwood, said the ability to make bail is a reflection of a defendant's access to money, not an indicator of a person's danger to the community. He said police and prosecutors inflate the threat of bail reform because it means more money for their agencies. It is a self-fulfilling prophecy, he said. Thank you, Phil Ramos, for letting us know that you are, in fact, an idiot. The data has not swayed critics, as Richard Nicoletta, the presiding officer of the Nassau County Legislature, he said bail reform is relatively new, and studies will eventually show that bail reform and other criminal justice changes incentivize crime. They incentivize crime. Of course they do. And I've got another story here from Newsday, a real quick one. And we're going to head out of here about 10 minutes early today. I've got a story here from Newsday that even when we lock up these people, that doesn't even matter, because it turns out they're still running these gangs. They're still running this organized crime out of the prisons. This from Newsday: organizer of Long Island home invasions from prison sentenced to more time behind bars. The imprisoned lead organizer of a home invasion crew sentenced on Tuesday to 96 months of additional time behind bars for conspiring to commit robberies on Long Island and elsewhere, in which force threats were used against the victims. Lamont Johnson's federal sentence will run consecutively to his two 20 years to life prison sentences that he already serving following a conviction in 1986 for a double homicide. So this guy is doing 2 life sentences, and he's still running crews out of prisons. What is going on? Why is this man even allowed to use the phone in order to run these sorts of things? Lamont Jordan was not deterred by the prison walls from organizing armed home invasion robberies, but today's sentence ensures he has been held accountable for these various crimes. Really? Really? Really, Attorney Peace in the Eastern District of New York said in a news release? The guy's doing 2 life sentences. So you tacked on another 96 months? Congratulations. I don't know what you just did. Oh, I don't know what you did, but block up the court system with a case that should have never seen the light of day in the first place. Guy's doing 2 life sentences. If he's organizing these crimes, why not stick him in the hole for a few months? Maybe he'll cut the crap out then. Maybe put him in solitary for a little bit. But we're not allowed to do that because that would be inhumane. The fact that these people are able to run criminal organizations out of our jails while sitting in prison for 2 life sentences just shows the dysfunctionality of our criminal justice system. Johnson 54, was convicted on federal robbery charges in a 1-week trial in March of 2019. Johnson was serving consecutive 20 years to life sentences in a state prison for 2 murders when he organized a robbery crew with the goal of targeting Chinese Americans on Long Island, Queens, and New Jersey, according to testimony at the trial and detailed in public filings. The release said Johnson connected his half-brother, John Martin, with Zizhen Lin, a former inmate who Johnson knew from prison. Lin's role in the conspiracy was to identify Chinese American targets for the crew to rob. Martin recruited other members to join the crew and together they committed or attempted to commit multiple robberies throughout Long Island and Queens. In May 2019, Corey Mobile, Brandon Daniels, and Martin committed a home invasion in Little Neck, Queens. During the robbery, Mobile and Daniels held a group of women and children at gunpoint and sexually assaulted one of the victims. Johnson's co-conspirators previously pleaded guilty to related offenses. Their prison sentences are 7 years for Lynn, 10 years for Daniels, 15 for Martin, and 19 for Mobley. See, the fact that they are able to run these organizations out of these prisons just shows that whatever we are doing is not working. And the fact of the matter is that a lot of police officers, many police officers around our counties and in our cities, are pulling back from arresting people on basic crimes. And why wouldn't they? Following the death of Michael Brown in 2014, something went into effect called the Ferguson effect. Heather McDonald at the Manhattan Institute talks about this in depth she wrote an entire book on the Ferguson effect. The Ferguson effect is an increase in violent crimes in a community caused by the reduced proactive policing due to the community's distrust and hostility towards police. The Ferguson effect was first proposed after police saw an increase in violent crime following the 2014 shooting of Michael Brown in Ferguson, Missouri. The term was coined by Doyle Sam Dotson III, the chief of police in St. Louis, to account for the increase in murder rate in some U.S. cities following the Ferguson unrest. Whether the Ferguson effect really exists is a subject of discussion. Basically, what the Ferguson effect says is, unless there's an active violent crime happening that a police officer can actively see, many times they'll pull off. They won't do it. They won't head over. If they see corner boys over on the corner selling drugs, but not bothering anybody, cops sometimes will just continue to drive by. Why? I'll give you an example. Let's say there was a 911 call about a guy who used, a counterfeit $20 bill. Let's say there was a call about a police officer who got a call about a guy using a counterfeit $20 bill, and he approaches the car. The people in the car appear to be high on fentanyl. So the officer goes to make an arrest. One thing leads to another. Somebody pulls out a video camera, and Derek Chauvin is facing 20 years in prison. Why, as a regular officer, would you want to even enter that sort of situation, to put your life on the line, to be ridiculed in the press, to go through all of that? What, over a $20 bill? Over corner boys on the street? Over a smash and grab robbery at a Louis Vuitton? Why would you want to engage in that sort of proactive policing if you know that the district attorneys, the mayors, your elected officials, community leaders will not have your back? Why would you ever want to get involved in something like that? If there's an active crime going on, yeah, they'll jump in. 100%. If there's an active violent crime, they'll jump in, they'll stop a murder, they'll stop a rape, they'll stop any of that. But as a police officer, why would you want to go out of your way to stop somebody from jumping over what the hell are they called? The turnstile on the subway? Why would you stop somebody from doing that if you know it's entirely possible that A, you might get the crap beaten out of you, but B, you know that some idiot's going to be sitting there with a video camera on their phone, they're only going to record half of the incident, and then you're going to face administrative and disciplinary charges? Why would you want to get involved in that? I don't blame them for not doing it. The problem is, as we know from the theory of broken windows policing, is that when you do not enforce the little stuff, the big stuff tends to fester. Because guess what? The guy who committed the rape on the subway also probably jumped the turnstile. The guy who committed the home invasion also probably broke the windows. That is the entire point of proactive policing. That is the entire point of having cash bail in cities, so that people who commit small crimes are held to stop them from committing the big crimes. That is the entire point of this proactive policing. It's the entire point of stopping the little things so that the big things don't happen. Instead, what we are starting to see across our counties, and now it's hitting the suburb, look, there's always going to be crime in major cities, just based on density, just based on population. There's always going to be crime there, and now it's coming out to the suburbs. Now it's coming out to the suburbs. Now you got organized crime, organized gangs from Newark coming over the bridge, through Manhattan, into Nassau and Suffolk County. And this is what happens when you have this sort of policies where you do not lock up criminals in Newark because the district attorneys don't believe in doing that in Newark. They get out again and they commit crimes across state lines. This is what happens. Guys, we have to close out a little bit early today because, as I said, I'm having work done and I have to finish up with the guys outside. I want to thank you guys for tuning in today at 8 a.m. We'll be back Friday morning with the great Lee Zeldin. As I said before, Lee Zeldin will be here. We'll be running the Lee Zeldin interview here at 8 a.m. on Friday. If you want to see the interview early, head on over to rumble.com/LFATV. That's rumble.com/LFATV. Once again, if you're watching this on Facebook, make sure you hit that like button, share this video into all of your Patriot groups on Facebook. If you're on Rumble, smash that Rumble button. Share the URL across everywhere and make sure we can help this channel grow. Once again, Lee Zeldin on Friday on this show. We will not comply. I want to thank Congressman Zeldin for coming in. I also want to thank all the people who try to pretend I'm done in local politics. You know, still had Lee Zeldin in here, so haha, I'm still winning. Thank you guys very much for tuning in today. Head on over to loudmajorityus.com, sign up for the newsletter, check out the shop. Guys, and until Friday morning, stop complying and stay loud.